The Catechism of the Catholic Church forbids polygamy as a grave offense against marriage and contrary to the original plan of God and equal dignity of human beings. However, throughout the Old Testament, key figures like David, Jacob, Solomon, to mention a few, had multiple wives. If they could have more than one wife, why can't people today be afforded this? This is Catholic Faith Forum. I am Nonso, and I am pleased to welcome you to another exciting episode. Don't go anywhere. When we come back for the short break, we'll meet our guest and get right into our discussion. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Catholic Faith Forum. I am Nonso, and we have a guest today, like I mentioned. If you're just joining us, don't worry, you're right on time. You're right on time. Today we have Mr. Wagbemiga Mary Peter Onifade. I hope I pronounced your name well.
Sure, you did.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Interestingly, or not interestingly, like he's married to one wife. Point of note, he's married to one wife. How does it feel? Like, how long have you been married?
Almost 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
Since
So
December
you're
of
relatively
2018.
new.
Sincerely.
So in the scriptures, we have a lot of men, like I mentioned in my intro, that we have people like David, Solomon, that got married to one wife, and they were very close to God, remember? Sure. And then it was okay for them to have such more than one wife. But now the church teaches against it. Why is that so now?
Basically, if we understand marriage from the mind of God,
Okay.
we would understand that from the very first time of creation, I mean the moment of creation, God made them man and woman. And I always love just two portions of the Bible. Okay, three now, when it comes to marriage. There is the Genesis part,
Yes.
there is the Matthew part, and there is the First Corinthians part. Now, Paul was unmarried, but after our Lord Jesus Christ, I want to believe that he wrote the greatest epistle that has to do with marriage.
Yeah.
And in Matthew chapter 19, from verses 13 to 12, Christ dealt with the issue of marriage wholeheartedly.
So can you go back? 13 to what? You said 13 to 12.
Chapter 19, sorry, from verses 3 to 12.
Yes. Okay.
Christ dealt with the whole entire issue as far as marriage is concerned. Now, he was asked a question that Moses told us this, Moses told us that. And he told them, it was because of the hardness of your heart. Now, it was not the plan of God for polygamy.
Okay.
There is what we call the permissive will of God in the Catholic Church.
Okay.
So God actually had permitted it for his own purpose, not because he wanted them to have many wives, but they eventually had to go through it because God permitted them to have it.
Okay.
Now, Christ came back to give us a new covenant. And in this new covenant, he has told us, see, this is the mind of God as far as marriage is concerned. And so it's not open to the rest of us to now say, after all, my ancestors
had
in the
more
Old
than
Testament
one, yes.
did it. Why can't I do it? No, we are not allowed.
But in the church today, we see these things, and marriage is a sacrament in the Catholic Church. So it's not just a union between a man and a woman. It's actually a sacrament. And we see people that are polygamous in the church, but they don't allow them to receive communion. Is there a reason for this?
In all honesty, the church is both a mother and a teacher. That's the encyclical of Pope, was it John the 20? Sorry, Pope John Paul. Now, sorry, Pope Paul the VI.
Okay.
Now, he makes us to understand that the church so much Christ loves us, and by extension, the church as a mother loves us equally. And so, all these people who are in the church, they cannot be asked to leave the church. No, the church will not do that. Maybe in the past, there has been instances where people were excommunicated even for such reasons. But nowadays, before the church will even pronounce excommunication on anyone, it will take a great deal of time.
Okay.
So these people are welcome into the church, but they cannot go to communion. They can't access the sacraments of the church.
But isn't that you just said they can access that, but isn't that a right for every baptized, confirmed Catholic? Because at that point, they're already confirmed.
Yes.
So isn't there a right for them to actually receive Holy Communion?
A right for them, but that right has been broken by them.
Okay.
Because they are no longer in communion with the church.
Yeah.
It has to be that at every point in time, what makes you a practicing Catholic is that at every point in time, you are in communion with the church. Remember that it's a law that at least, I mean, the old law that at least in a year we should go to confession.
Yes.
The idea is that at every opportunity we have to attend Mass, to receive Holy Communion, we're in a state of grace. Now, in that state of polygamy, they are not in a state of grace. So obviously, they have severed that relationship between them and God, between them and the church.
By marrying more than one wife.
By marrying more than one wife.
I often hear people say Christ elevated the institution of marriage to a sacrament. Like I said earlier that marriage is a sacrament. But the truth is, most people don't understand what that sacrament is. And when they say Christ has elevated the institution of marriage to a sacrament, what does that really mean?
Well, basically, what is a sacrament? It's an inward grace of an outward sign instituted by God. Now, first and foremost, we need to realize that marriage is a covenant.
Yeah.
It's a covenant between a man and a woman, not the other way around. I mean, we see a lot of things happening now, even here in Nigeria. It's becoming a lifestyle, so to speak. But first, it is a covenant between man and God. And in the Catholic Church,
Yes.
most especially, I mean, in other churches, there may be variations here and there.
There
but
are.
in the Catholic Church, we need to understand that it's a covenant between two practicing Catholics, a man and a woman. I don't want to condemn anybody.
Yeah, we're
because
not
even the
condemning.
church will not condemn them.
Yes,
You understand?
but is it because people like, I've heard people that say, oh, people that are polygamous are adulterous. It's the same thing. But can you say those two things are actually the same kind of sins? Let me say sins or the same things.
Obviously,
Yeah.
it is, because there's no two ways about it.
Okay.
It is either or. So the fact is, like I said earlier, they have severed that relationship they have with the church. And so even they themselves will be taking the backstage ordinarily, because the truth of the matter is, if you see any Catholic who cannot go to communion at Mass,
Yes.
you will see shame written on that person ordinarily. In fact, it's unfortunate that even nowadays, there are some people who, in order to overcome that shame, even though they are not in a state of grace, will still go to communion.
And they change their parishes. Because I had this discussion with a group of people. I was saying, people that are actually polygamous, what if they are known in this parish as people that have more than one wife, and then they go to another parish? Because the Catholic Church is so big,
Sure.
so broad that you cannot just stay in one place if you want to. You can decide to leave and move to another place. If I'm in Lagos and I decide to go to, let's say, Owerri, and I move to a diocese there and I start attending Mass there, nobody there would even know that I'm polygamous. And I'll just go there, attend Mass, and receive communion. So what do you think about that? I want to put you on the spot now. What do you think about that?
It's all good. It's all good because no matter where you are in the Catholic Church, God sees you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, such persons won't be able to get married again in the same Catholic Church.
Okay.
I remember when I was to marry, I had to take the banns of marriage to my hometown in Ekiti.
Okay. Oh, yes. Do you know, I've never really understood why they read, because I wonder, like, I heard this name last week. Why am I hearing it this week again? But now, like, you've actually enlightened me. Now I know in cases of this, they have to do that.
So what will happen at the end of the day is such persons, for instance, it could be that maybe the man does not go to church with
At
any
all,
of the
yeah.
women. So that if he's going to receive communion, at least people will see him and say, oh, is this your wife? So if you bring one of them today, tomorrow you bring another person, next tomorrow you bring the other person, people begin to wonder, how come, and you're coming to communion with different women,
Okay.
then they will understand. Because
Yeah.
like you said, the Catholic Church is broad, and the priest cannot know everybody.
Yes.
That's why we have the different societies, the pious ones, the religious ones, there to help the priest in doing that work of evangelization.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it boils down to just one thing. How Catholic are you?
Are you the individual?
Individually.
Yeah.
Such that when I'm not in a state of grace, do I force myself to go to communion? When I know I am polygamous and I've not rectified that in the church,
Yes.
what do I do at that point in time? See, it can be really painful waiting. Now, I'm not so proud of this.
Okay.
I had my first child out of wedlock. And in fact, I had a lot of people pressure me. There were those who were genuinely concerned to say, like, okay, see, rectify your marriage. It's easy. And there were those who were just making a mockery of the whole thing. But I was not bothered. My concern was just, okay, let me sort out whatever I need to sort out. Then we'll go to the sacramental marriage, which eventually we did in December of 2018.
Aww.
So I'm based on that, I'm a proud person.
Yeah.
Initially, I was not proud of
yeah.
it because I understand that this is a Catholic church. And personally, for me, there's saying that where there's no law, there's no sin.
Exactly.
If I know the rules, I don't like to break them. I just want to stay on the rules. So that period, in fact, there was an incident in the church wherein I was to be made the chairman of a committee in the PPC, and the outgoing chairman was like, see, until you rectify your marriage, you won't get any opportunity. And I understand that.
But I think that I know what you're going through, because I look at other people like that. I know some people in church who have not rectified their marriage and they're living together, they have children. And I have this concern, like, why not do this the proper way so that at least you can at least feel good yourself? Because like you said, it boils down to the individual. How Catholic are you? That's very good. So let's talk about the issue of divorce in polygamy. One issue that has been raised over time in this issue of polygamy is the fact that when the church actually finds out that, okay, this man is a polygamous man, we want you to stick to one wife, which means that the other wives are going to go. And the church is strongly against divorce. So this I won't say it puts the church in a dilemma, because the church has obviously faced issues like this and gotten out of it well. But it puts the church, it puts the church in a dilemma because now you're like, okay, stick to one wife, but meaning that you're going to leave the other ones away. You're going to leave them, maybe like send them away or tell them, settle them in some way that I don't understand. So I would like you to like tell me, to make me understand how this should work.
Well, one thing that helps me with this question, I mean, if I'm going to answer it, is when Monsignor Bernard Okoria was my parish priest in Regina Mundi Motion.
Okay.
Then we were involved as a legionary with marriage cases. And oftentimes, Monsignor Okoria would tell us that, see, no matter what we are thinking of achieving at the end of the day, we must understand that already there's a bond between the man and the different women.
Yes.
At the end of the day. So, in other words, it goes back to the church being a mother and a teacher. No matter what a child does, the mother would never kill that child.
Exactly.
It's a fact of life. And so, there's a need on the part of evangelizers in the church, there's a need on the part of even our priests also to understand that as much as we want them to come back to communion, it will take time on their part to convince themselves to say, okay, which of these women is staying with me in communion with the church? Because that's
going to be hard. Yeah, very tough, yes.
So they have made a mistake getting many women at the end of the day. But the truth is, coming out of that mistake, for instance, let's say I take wife A, and wife B is saying, so it means you never loved me, from the beginning. So in order not to create unforeseen problems, the church also beats time in this situation. But there is a constant counseling ongoing. I mean, I even up to now, I still see that when we do marriage lapse cases visitation in the Legion of Mary, we still refer them back to the parish priest, and occasionally the priest will invite them to come to his office to see him, or just for discussions. And one thing my parish is doing, since Monsignor Okoda was our parish back then in 2012, that we still hold on to till today, is group marriage, group wedding. And so we encourage our parishioners, especially those who are in this situation, so like, okay, please, decide. Come forward, come and see what you can do, how you can go about it, so that at least you can come back to communion with the church at the end of the day. But the truth is this, it's a very painful decision even for them to take at the end of the day. And so we need to be understanding and compassionate with them as a mother.
Okay, so that means the other women, what you're saying now, the other women will have to go. But the thing is that I think the man has to be responsible for them.
Most definitely. It's like, this is my problem.
Yes.
And there's no other way I can ask somebody else to shoulder the responsibility.
Exactly.
But what the church is saying is, as far as sacramental marriage is concerned, it has to be just you and one of them.
Yeah.
Now, I can put, for instance, maybe two others or one other, put in a separate house, even if I have to pay them a visit. Now, this is where
But when
okay.
But when when you're paying them a visit, isn't that already like marriage?
No.
Okay.
See, the affection for my children would always be there.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And as long as there was love initially, there will also be affection for the other woman, no doubt. But then it boils down again to how Catholic are you?
Yeah.
Such that at that point in time, you are able to control your emotions. So like, oh, this is the bus stop. This is where I get crashed. I can't go beyond here. But at least as far as the children are concerned, they become number one responsibility.
Yeah, true.
Just like the ones with me in the house. In fact, if possible, one can bring all the children into one house with the one...
Just one wife.
With
Okay.
one wife. While the women or the other women stay somewhere
Alone.
else. So that at least one can also guard against the temptation of
Okay,
forbidden fruit
consummation, yeah.
again.
So we talk about children now. What about marriages that don't have issues like children? They don't have children, rather, no issues. They don't have children. And then the man has to take another wife because his wife cannot give birth. In such cases, what should be done? Is that polygamy as well? Or exceptions?
See, now, the Code of Canon Law in 1055, number 2, talks about the properties of marriage. And it says unity and indissolubility. Now, when you venture out of that unity,
Okay.
automatically you are doing something that's not marriage.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, there's no exception as to, okay, because we don't have a child. And again, what's our understanding of marriage? Now, marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman.
Yes.
If God so desires, he gives them children. But first and foremost, it is about the two of them. Because they are the ones who saw each other
But you
and
know,
brought themselves to
yeah,
God.
but you know, we're in Africa, and especially in Nigeria, they're very particular about children in marriage. So when you're facing pressure from your family members, when is your wife going to put to bed? How are the children? They start asking you such questions just to let you know that, oh, it's time. Oh, it's time to start dropping children. When you start facing pressures like that, and then the man decides, okay, I think, or they come to an understanding that it's time we take another wife too. Do you subscribe to that thought, or they should just go ahead and adopt children? Which a lot of people are not keen to understand, or they don't want to do it. So what do you suggest they do?
Well, a kind of polygamy. Because if we have a better understanding of what marriage is all about, then we would understand that marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman. And in talking about the properties of marriage in Canon 1055, where it says unity and indissolubility, it's a bridge of that unity of marriage. Because once a third party is invited in, automatically you have broken the covenant between the two of you, whether you both agreed to it or not. Because it's a covenant the two of you entered into in the presence of God. And so God is aware of it. So at the end of the day, when it says this is the rule, you now bring in a third party, then you have broken that rule.
Okay, now let's talk about adoption. You know, we're in a society that, I won't say frown, it's just recently that people are being open-minded about adoption. I know earlier in the day, people don't really think they could just go and take care of another person's child as their own. So what do you think people should see adoption as nowadays in marriages?
Well, if the couples can agree to it, I mean, this is what we want. It's a welcome development because, you know, our society is gradually being opened. Let me say it that way.
Yes, it is.
Because in the past, a lot of things are shoddy, that it's just about the traditional ways of doing it. And the beauty of inculturation in the Catholic Church is that whatever is good in our culture can be embellished by the Christian culture, by Catholicism, such that at the end of the day, if they adopt children and they agree to train that children as if their own children,
it becomes theirs.
It becomes theirs at the end of the day. So there's no question of adoption any longer. It's a question of, oh, this is our
my child, yeah.
For them.
But you know, nowadays on social media, you see all sorts of things. I mean, I've seen people that will go like, they'll make it seem like it's so right. They will argue that they are polygamous in nature. Do you think people are actually polygamous in nature, or it's just their way of life? Or they choose to be that way, not like, because they make it look like they were born that way. I was born polygamous. Meanwhile, it's just a decision that they made themselves. So what do you have to say about people who think about, people who think this way, rather?
Now, I tell my friends, the male, I've heard them say, as a guy, you have erection. Appreciate God. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's a gift from God. And it's a gift not to be abused.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, when you talk about, oh, I am sexually active, and so I should have multiple women, or naturally, by nature, a man is polygamous, then you are automatically destroying that gift given to you. And there's no two ways about it. For a woman, I say, if you menstruate, there are those who have pains when they menstruate. There are those who don't even have at all.
Yeah.
But many of them go through the pains of menstruation. Be thankful to God that at least God made you a woman. So the sexual ability is not a license to polygamy.
Yeah.
It's not a question of, after all, I can't stay with one woman. Or, funny enough, some people will tell you, if I eat bread today, I should be able to eat sandwich.
Tomorrow.
Rice tomorrow.
That's always the analogy every time.
And one way or the other, it so describes it very well. But the truth is this: the gifts of God are not something to be tampered with. I mean, to be handled with levity.
Yeah.
Such that at the end of the day, you now begin to say, well, God, you have given me this gift quite well. You hold on while I exercise my right over these gifts. Because even the rights that you have over the gifts was given to you by God.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So it's a question of, do I understand why God gave me this gift? And the purpose for which He wants me to use it. Such that when I feel the urge, it will come.
Yeah.
Automatically. It's not a question of, I can say when I should have the urge or when I should not have the urge. It can come to us at any time, anywhere.
Another, we need self-control and to understand that it's all about morality, not you have to be everywhere at different time or every time you feel like it. Just like when you feel, every time you feel like eating, then you eat food even when you're full. You might see a meal that you like, doesn't mean that you must eat it. And I think people should use that analogy instead of using, if I eat rice today, I want to eat meat tomorrow, I want to eat this. I think that's what they should use. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. I mean, it's been very insightful. I mean, enlightening. I mean, everything. It was so nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So what do you have to say to young men today that are thinking about getting into marriage or are married and feel that they are polygamous in nature?
Well, for those who are thinking about marriage, I want to say to them that marriage is beautiful. In all honesty, it can be challenging, no doubt. But
Sure.
The truth is this: as God made it, marriage is beautiful. And so they should not be afraid. There's nothing to say, until I'm a billionaire, until I've done this, until I've done that. Marriage is beautiful and is to be enjoyed, to be lived through and enjoyed. And for those who are married already and they are already still thinking about their polygamous nature, truth is, you will always have the urge. But what differentiates you from an animal is that you are able to use your ability to self-control yourself at the end of the day. Such that, I mean, if you go to work, you meet different persons. In fact, the moment you step out of your room, you meet different persons. So does it mean every lady you come across you must sleep with in the name of polygamous nature?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for sticking with us till the end. It was such a beautiful episode. Let us remember that marriage is a sacrament in the Catholic Church, and it should be enjoyed by one man and one woman, and they'll become one together in marriage. And anything contrary to this is not true. Is a sin against God and the church in general. Thank you for staying with us. We're not going anywhere until we learn a little about our faith on Know Your Faith. Stay with us.
Hello and welcome to another interesting episode of Know Your Faith series. I am Collins, and today we will be talking about heavenly bodies. Now, when we hear the term heavenly bodies, we often think that we are referring to the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, and other celestial bodies. But in this case, we're referring to the beings in heaven, the angels and the spiritual beings. In 1 Corinthians 15, verse 39 to 40, it says, "All flesh is not the same flesh. There is one kind of flesh of man, another of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. There is also heavenly bodies and earthly bodies. But the glory of the heavenly one is different, and that of the earthly is another." Now, what this is trying to explain is already, but the heavenly bodies that we're referring to here again still are the angels, the saints, and other spiritual beings in heaven. Now, there is a misconception that this particular verse is also referring to the sun, the moon, and stars. But no, this is referring to beings that are in heaven. Now, contrary to popular opinions, angels are not people who have died and gone to heaven to, they've earned their wings. No. The angels are purely spiritual beings, okay? However, saints are the humans who have died, won the race, and now in heaven with God. However, people get confused when we refer to some angels as saints. For example, when we say Saint Michael the Archangel, people start to ask questions as to why we're referring to an angel as a saint when we normally refer to humans who have won the race as saints. However, it's just simple semantics, because the term saint is gotten from the Latin word sancta, which means holy. So by virtue, anyone who is already in heaven is holy, and so can be referred to as saints. So it's simple. Angels are purely spiritual beings created from God, created by God. All right, and while saints are humans who have won the race and are already in heaven. So a lot of theologians or people over the years have tried to calculate the number of angels we have, but St. Thomas Aquinas said that it is impossible, as it is beyond human comprehension. However, there are certain things that we know, like how the angels are grouped into 9 choirs. But in another episode of KYF, we'll be talking about the angels and their roles. So that's it for today, guys. Let's just have it at the back of our mind that all the heavenly beings, and even we that are on earth here, we're a communion of the church. So we can always pray to them or pray through them for assistance. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and share this content. Until I come your way next time, be bold and be Catholic.
Thank you so much, Collins. That was Know Your Faith. Thank you so much for watching till the end of the show. To get this episode and other episodes, you visit our YouTube channel at Dominican Media Present, and send your questions and suggestions on our social media platform at CFF on TV. Also on Tuesday, don't forget to join our chat room on Twitter with the hashtag CFF Chatroom. I repeat, hashtag CFF Chatroom. And our question for this week is, why do people justify the marriage to more than one spouse? A repeat of the question, why do people justify the marriage to more than one spouse? Why do people justify the marriage to more than one spouse? Till I meet with you next time, keep being saints in jeans and shirts. Bye. How did you enjoy my show today?
Sincerely, after the fidgeting team earlier, it's okay, seriously.
You said it on TV.